Hmm.
I moved to San Francisco in January of 1968 to attend San Francisco State.
I've been on your journey with you and giving credit to them, so I don't really have any questions prepared. I'm just going to leave it up to you.
Oh, yeah, and I said, you know, there are a couple other events that I wanted to just kind of highlight.
Sure. Let me just get...
Now, when we did the other interview, I'm trying to remember, was that on phone or was that on Zoom?
We did that on Zoom.
Oh, okay, good.
We're having our map of Woodstock as our background.
Oh, nice, okay.
So I think the only downfall to it is that kind of right next to your head, it says in big letters, cornfield.
Oh,
so I think we might rearrange you a
would you
little
like
bit. Maybe we'll change the angle of the chair.
To cornflakes.
This way, so maybe we'll have you sitting so you're covering where it says cornfield. That just about did it, actually. That's pretty good.
There you
Don't
go.
wiggle around too much. That'll work. Okay, so like I said, I don't really have anything prepared. The floor is yours, so you let me know when you're ready to start recording, we'll go.
Okay, we can start.
Ready? Oh, I'm gonna make sure we're on video first. Actually, I'm gonna do this through a different application. We've been part of a grant program this past year that is intended to help museum professionals gain some additional skills, and videography is one of them. So
Good.
I've learned how to use Adobe Premiere.
That's my software.
Yeah, I'm not so good at the one that's on the desktop, but I've been working a lot in the Rush version on the iPad.
Oh, mine is. I'm legally blind, by the way, and I edit the show. I edited his 2 award-winning short films from Adobe. Yeah. I didn't know anything about Adobe. I learned it myself.
Yeah, I've
amazing.
Done some workshops and stuff through this grant program, but I've mostly just learned by doing.
Yep.
So I've learned that it's good to do the videography through Rush instead of just the camera app because it's a little bit more adjustable. So I know I have my settings, how I like them for this lighting and everything.
Try the new iPhone. Oh my God.
Yeah.
13. Oh God. It's like movie.
All right. Okay, so you give me the thumbs up when you're ready.
Okay. Okay. So I'd like to share just a few more stories. One of them is very interesting. It has to do with the Cold War. In 1988, 2 years before the wall came down in Berlin, we were contacted, myself and my producing partner, Ron Fraser, to do something called the Soviet-American Peace War, which was 200 Soviet citizens and 200 Americans walking together over parts of the United States, with a couple of finale celebrations which had happened in LA and San Francisco. So we were brought on to do the concerts, and it was an amazing experience. I mean, the first one was done in LA. It was headlined by X, which was a really big band in Los Angeles at the time. People like Jesse Cohen Young and Floyd Westerman, who was the Native American singer and actor, and Casey Kasem. The legendary Casey Kasem was the host. And of course we had Soviet bands. One band was called Autocrat, and it was really the #1 rock band in Russia at that time, Soviet Union. And also Alexander Grotsky, who was known as the Russian Bob Dylan. So it was an amazing event. But what happened later was even more amazing, because we went to Golden Gate Park, and because of our dear friend Pete Sears, who was the sorry about that. Shut the damn thing off.
Usually I remember to remind everyone, but we're doing a little bit different format today, so it slipped my mind.
Okay.
Edit, right?
Yep, no problem.
So okay, what I know where to I know where to.
Okay. Your friend Pete
Yeah.
Sears. Oh.
So what happened next in San Francisco was pretty amazing, because Pete Sears, who was the bass player and also the piano player for Jefferson Starship, agreed to be the musical director. So he just called on his friends. So Grace Slick and Paul Kantner from Jefferson Airplane, and from Grateful Dead, Jerry Garcia and Mickey Hart, Mimi Farina, this group Zero, which was a spin-off group of the Grateful Dead. All of these bands played to thousands of people, and of course, again, the Russian performers. And the amazing thing about this was getting to meet the Russians, or the Soviets, and how happy they were to be there, and how the intersection between the Americans and the Soviets was so real, so tangible, and so needed at that time. And again, this was a year and a half before the Berlin Wall came down, and it showed the success of citizen diplomacy between the two superpowers. So that's that one. Okay. In 1991, I realized that the next year was going to be the 500th anniversary of Columbus, quote unquote, discovering America. And I knew there was going to be all of this quincentennial, stuff about Columbus. And I thought, well, who's going to do something to represent the Native Americans and their culture and their contributions? So I decided I was going to do it. Just like with other things I've done, I really didn't know how to begin, but I just had the passion to do it. So I knew a few Native American leaders, and I would call them, and they were mildly interested. One day I was on the phone trying to reach somebody, and this woman answers the other side of the phone, and she says, "Do you know who I am?" I said, "No, I don't know who you are." It was Sasheen Littlefeather, who was the one who refused the Oscar for Marlon Brando. Well, Sasheen knew everybody, and she got me connected so quickly to the American Indian Congress and everyone else, all the Indian leaders, and they all came on board. And it was really amazing to see this. So we're planning to do a whole series of events, concerts, poetry readings, all kinds of events. And then there was going to be a major concert on October 12th, which is would have been the 500th anniversary. So in the midst of all this, though, we decided to do a media event at the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel, which was the site of the very first Oscars. So I showed up that day, and one of the main things we were doing was having Hollywood celebrities who were part Native American to talk about their heritage. Well, I walked into the hall and I couldn't believe it. It's like every piece of news hardware in all of LA was all there, pointed at this little stage. And I'm going, it must be a weak news day or something, because I couldn't figure out what it was. Well, it turns out a few days before, this guy, and it's funny that his name was Cheney, who was the president of the Rose Parade, had said that the new Rose Grand Marshal was going to be Cristobal Colon, the 20th direct descendant of Christopher Columbus. Well, of course, that didn't go over well with the Indians. And the media wanted to get the Indian response, and we just happened to be in the right place at exactly the right time. So we're doing our event, our cultural event, and then one of the celebrities was Edward James Olmos. And when Eddie got up there, he challenged them. He said, "I think there should be a Native American co-Grand Marshal riding right next to him." So the media went back to Cheney, went back to the Rose Parade, and he said, "No, we've never done it. There's never been a co-marshal. We're never going to do it. We're never going to do it." Well, the Indians were staked out outside his office, and the media were pounding, and he finally gave in, which was amazing. So then it's like, who are we going to choose? Well, there was a Native American leader who was actually a member of the Senate, Ben Nighthorse Campbell, So we asked Ben if he would do it. And being a sophisticated person, he knew that we had them over the barrel, so he said, well, I'm not sure. If you give me airtime to tell the true story of what happened, then I'll consider it. Well, on that day, to hundreds of millions of people who were watching it, Ben Nighthorse Campbell got up there and he laid it out. He said, you know, when Columbus came to this country, it was a Holocaust. 30 million people died because of him and what came after. And I was in tears, just, it was so powerful. And to realize that our little, our event, our idea just had such power, and it again made me realize the power of our own intention, no matter who we are, that we have that power. We can tune into that power and we can make magic happen in this world. Well, now I'd just like to update to what's been happening recently, because Unity Foundation has been expanding in different directions. We've actually done 2 short films. One of them is a finalist in the Hollywood Monthly Film Festival, and that's called Luminosity, which we also have a book for. And the other one is called The Garden, which is an anti-nuclear film, which is a featured film in the Hollywood Film Festival and another film festival as well. So we've been doing that, and of course the first book, which you already know about, and then music videos. We've now done a couple of music videos. One is called Time to Get Together, and I think you'll love the second one because it's called A Song for the Boomer Generation. And it goes through the history of what we went through as boomers, but at the end it talks about, and now there's a new generation, and focuses on what this new generation is doing. So those are the things that we've been doing, and it's pretty amazing. And I just, at this point, I just need so desperately to really recognize a few people. Okay.
To recognize.
Yeah.
Desperately. Go with that.
So I need to recognize, my mother and father, Mary and Bill McCarthy, who were with me from the very beginning and totally supported all of these things I've done. They've been amazing. And then, of course, Prem Rawat, who's been my teacher for 49 years and a global peace ambassador, who's totally changed my life. And then, of course, my beloved husband, LD, who, edits a television show every month, Positive Spin, edited the movies, and who's legally blind. And yet somehow he's able to do that. He's able to make magic because of the power of his intention. And also, our beloved Frankie Francine, who was our cat, our child, and who passed away a couple of years ago. And I guess I just want to end by saying, it's so amazing what people can do when they come together to make change in this world. And this wonderful museum and this wonderful facility that you have here is a testimony to that. And I hope and pray that many, many people come here to see these exhibits. I was in tears because I was there. And I saw people I knew. I knew Richie Havens. I saw him, I knew the Starship, Grateful Dead. I mean, I knew these people. I knew Santana. We did concerts with them. Of course, then I was like 19 years old. I didn't know any of them. But because of the power of intention, after coming to this festival and being inspired to be a concert producer, all of this happened. So this is where it began. This was my home for where it began, and I'm back home for the first time in 52 years, and my heart is just filled with love.
Keep nodding slowly. Slowly.
So we've just come.
Okay. Nod. Okay, keep
Okay.
nodding. Look at her.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
we've just come to this amazing Bethel Center for
Okay.
the Arts.
Go.
We've just been through this amazing exhibit or exhibits, and I am just wondering, how did this all happen? I mean, how did the field, be preserved like that? And how were you able to create this wonderful, wonderful facility and these exhibits?
Well, it's a long story. It's a story 52 years in the making right now as of 2021. And it all started back in 1969 with the original Woodstock Music and Art Fair. And as soon as that event took place, it changed America. It changed a whole generation. And from that point on, there were 450,000 people and more who were committed to preserving the memory of Woodstock. As early as 1970, there were people gathering here informally to have reunion concerts. And although the land that we sit on currently went through various different private ownerships in that time, there were always people gathering here to celebrate Woodstock. Eventually in the 1990s, the property was purchased by the Gary Foundation, and that is a foundation that currently still owns the property and developed it into Bethelwood Center for the Arts, including the museum at Bethelwoods. The intention that Mr. Alan Gary had when he and his foundation purchased the land was to use the spirit of Woodstock and the history of musical performance on this site to help reinvigorate Sullivan County, which in the past 50 years or so has become one of the more depressed counties in New York State. It's also his home county, so he wanted to do something for his home, the place where he grew up, and he recognized the opportunity of Woodstock to help make that change. So in 2006, we officially opened our concert pavilion site. It is one of the largest outdoor concert pavilions in the country. It holds 16,000 people at full capacity. And we also opened the museum at Bethelwood here in 2008. So we've been going for 15 years now as a concert pavilion, and we'll be going on 15 years as a museum in a few years' time.
That's amazing, but what also is amazing to me is that while you're preserving the past, you're inviting the local community, the children, artworks, special events. It's almost like, the next generation is, being given the torch in a certain way, in a way that's appropriate for them, not to relive the past, but that you have all these programs. Can you talk a little bit about some of these programs?
Absolutely. The Bethelwood Center for the Arts has a lot of different programming. We have programming that is hosted by the museum here, especially in 2019 for the 50th anniversary of Woodstock. We saw a big resurgence in our programming, such as panels, live videos, things of that sort. We also offer a lot of educational programming. We have camps for children that focus on music and theater and performance. We have adult workshops for things like photography, and lots of special experiences like film festivals.
So then the final question is, so where do you see the center 50 years from now?
Well, that's a big question, and I can't say for all of the other wonderful things that go on here at Bethelwood Center for the Arts, but I can say about what us as part of the museum staff have been working on. And we did have to take a step back after our 50th anniversary in 2019 and say, okay, what's our legacy for the next 50 years? So we are very conscious of this, that we have a legacy. And funnily enough, right around the time we were taking that step back, the COVID-19 pandemic hit, and we went into our lockdown in late March of 2020. So it was a tough time, but we used that time of having to change our perspective to really think about what we were going to do to preserve that legacy. And so one of the biggest projects that we're currently working on, and part of the reason that I've gotten to know you, is our oral history initiative. So we recognize that the stories of Woodstock, and Woodstock is not one story, but 450,000 individual stories, we realize those are a finite resource. And we are uniquely positioned to be the one to collect those stories. And we need to be doing it now, before they slip away, because in 50 years, chances are there will be nobody from the original Woodstock. However, their children and grandchildren will still be here wondering about what happened. And we want to do our best to provide those stories for those generations yet to come.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I appreciate being part of the program with the oral history. I'll tell you, so many memories going through the museum today. So many times tearing up, just knowing that the inspiration for my whole life's work began here on this site, and now I'm back here again.
Invite everybody.
Yes, definitely come visit us. We are here in Bethel, New York, the site of the original 1969 Woodstock Music and Art Fair. We are open April through December every year. Our hours are 10 to 5 every day, 7 days a week. It's a wonderful place to come. Our exhibits are exciting, and our grounds are nothing less than iconic. So please do come give us a visit.
Our website.
Oh, our website is www.bethelwoodscenter.org.
See you there. See you here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.
This whole hallway is filled up with posters that are from different events and things that we've done. These three right here, this series is from our 40th anniversary of Woodstock in 2009, which was a little bit before my time, but it's kind of chronicles. You know, we've been open for almost, well, going on 15 years now, and it's been a lot going on
You've
here.
had some great concerts, I know.
Yeah, and the concerts, they have their own posters, so that's a whole other thing, but yeah, I wish I knew the number of concerts we've had here in the last 15 years. I bet somebody knows that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Been
Film
quite good.
festival.
Move along.
You got a film
Yeah.
festival too. Tell us about the film festival.
A lot of this stuff was before my time. But
Oh, I
we
see.
Mm-hmm.
had various different licensee of Grateful Dead imagery for merchandise.
Wow.
So he's been creating T-shirts and other merchandise for the Dead for, let's see, 36 years? Yeah, over 36 years. So he approached us and said, hey, I have these prints. Let's do something with them. And so we decided to do this little pop-up exhibit. And really the theme kind of came together really nicely. All of the skeletal imagery and the artwork kind of pulled together, and the history of the Steely logo, which is so iconic. And the time of year worked out nicely as
Yeah,
well.
of course. Wow.
Yeah, it's a pretty neat little exhibit.
Yeah.
Okay.
And those are on loan to us from Bill Hanley himself.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Wonderful.
So this is the original speakers, part of it?
One of them, yeah. So these were like 70 feet up in the air on that yellow sky.
There's nothing you can say except the
We've got
fabulous
a couple
lady.
of pieces of
Let's
original
welcome
stage plywood
Joan
on display
Weiner.
as well. And the speakers and those were rediscovered. The guy who got them, his girlfriend's father, came to the site after the festival was over, took a bunch of the scrap plywood, and took it back to his bungalow colony that he ran and built a squash court out of it.
God.
So he, at the time, he was dating this girl, and he knew what had happened to that plywood. And years later, the bungalow colony was abandoned, but he knew that it was there, so he went back, and that squash court made of the stage plywood was still there. So he salvaged all the plywood, and he actually donated those two pieces to us this year.
We'll continue with Country Joe McDonald.
With live music.
So who owns this now?
It's owned by the Geary Foundation,
Oh, okay.
who purchased it in the 90s.
Oh, wow.
Okay, we're gonna veer off a little bit.
Oh my God, this will be a beautiful segment. I'll make sure. So, okay.
Now there's a plaque somewhere.
Yeah, down at the other corner, opposite where the stage was. Yeah.
Yeah.
You could actually drive down there if you'd like. There's a little parking area at the intersection.
Okay, they'll let us come in.
Tickets.
Yeah, so what you can do is you'll walk back to your car in the parking lot, and then you can drive down Herd Road. And
Okay.
then
There
park
you
in the little
go.
parking area at Herd
Okay.
West
Good,
Shore.
good. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, this is the way we came in. We came in over the hill. I remember looking, all of a sudden you're here, and because you're at the top of the hill till you get to, you don't really see, and all of a sudden there's this ocean of humanity, just like, nobody had ever seen anything like that.
This is the first time you've been back?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's autumn and some of the leaves are off the trees, you can see straight through to the pond.
Mm.
You can't always see the pond when the leaves are up.
Oh, the pond. Oh, yeah.
Set up. And then across the street, those hills over there were one of the main camping areas.
Okay. 360. Stay there and look at the flag. Okay.
Flag?
Yeah. Alrighty. 3, 2, 1. It's okay. Yeah. Okay. What? You don't want anybody? How can? Mm. All right. Mm. I'm shooting, you know,
Great towers, babe.
Bob.
Back home in Woodstock, 52 years later. This is
Ah,
point up to the hill.
okay. 5, 4, 3, 2.
Here I am back at Woodstock, 52 years later. That's the hill that we came over. And we saw the 450,000 people. I couldn't believe it. It's like nothing I ever imagined in my life. And there was a stage, and the music. It was magic. It was love. It was peace. It was
I used to hang with them out there, but can't back in on if we're gonna get shit out of the trunk. But he was just like, it got obnoxious. He kept crying about this.